welcome to the Sigma Show. I am your host, Sigma. This is episode 31. Before I let you guys know who is joining me today, let's go over what we're going to be talking about on this episode. First up, in the battle for the MMO king, apparently WoW has very big competition, and a very notable WoW player may be making the switch, or at least trying something new for a little while in Final Fantasy 14. So we'll talk about what maybe that means. After that, are TV style commercials going to be invading your console games? Find out more at 10 or whenever the hell we get to that topic. And finally, some Sony related news. We've been hearing that Sony has been buying new devs, like the Housemarque, the Returnal devs, as well as Nyx, a port studio formerly belonging or doing work for Square Enix. So we'll talk about maybe what Sony's plans are for this and what that means in relation to Microsoft doing pretty much the same thing. And here to talk with me about these topics are my handsome guests, Blue Bones,
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy.
Rexicon Jesse,
Hey, that's me.
and Superman Jeff.
Nekamamushi.
Yeah.
Stop!
That makes
Stop saying this nonsense phrase. Anyhow, glad to see all you guys here. It's been a little while since I believe this combination. I just hit my table. Believe this combination has been together. But it's always great to have you on the show. We can jump right into things. Wow, this topic, Blue, you kind of dropped in kind of late. I read it and I did think it was pretty interesting, though I'm not a big MMO guy. Like, I know you are, I know
Yeah.
Jeff plays. Not too sure about you, Jesse, if you play a lot of MMOs at all. No? Okay.
Oh.
Well, I'll start with you then, Blue. Why did this scream out to you? Like, I've never heard of this streamer. What's his name again? Something Gold?
Asmongold.
Asgold.
Yeah,
Asmongold. Not
Asmongold.
Not Asgold,
No,
but
no,
Asmongold.
not Asgold this time. Asmongold is one of the top, or if not the top, WoW streamer, and he's been hearing all this stuff about Final Fantasy 14.
Which you're a huge player
I am a
of. Like,
huge
you've been
fan
playing
of.
that
Yeah.
for a while now.
Oh yeah, I've been playing it for years. I'm on a hiatus, on a break right now, because
Oh, you guys are
it
seeing
takes
other
time.
people?
We're kind of seeing other people, I'm darting around. But yeah. So anyway, he's hearing that this is, much better than WoW. There's a lot of ratings that are saying that 14 is better than WoW. So he goes on his page and says, "Hey, I'm finally gonna try it. I don't know if I'm gonna like it." Da 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 da. So he released a tweet and then he had a little video, and this guy is very dramatic. I'm not the biggest fan of him, but when he does actually try it, I don't know. I don't know if you guys got a chance to look at the stream, but he comes in there with the worst attitude possible. Anything that happened, he's like, "What is this? What the f is this? What is this? Oh my gosh!" It's like the littlest thing. He's on the menu screen, right, the title screen, and he's talking to his streamers and stuff like that, and then it goes into an intro sequence, just like most games do. He says, "Oh, so it just automatically does that?" And I was like, "Yo, bro, I need you to calm down." So anyway, he goes through it, and if you kind of click through and check out all these highlight points, he's upset at first, and then he starts saying, "Oh, I kind of like the combat. Oh, my character looks pretty good. Um, oh, I kind of like how that turned out. Oh, I wonder if it's gonna be this." And he starts getting into it reluctantly, bro.
So
By the end of
you
it, he
think
said
it's
he's gonna
winning
stream
him?
again.
It's winning him over, you think? So, I mean,
Reluctantly.
what do you feel like that says for WoW in general? Like, this is one
WoW
of, if
needs
not its
to.
biggest streamer, right? And like, apparently there's been
Yeah,
like a lot of discord in the WoW community. Like, the game's getting stale. The new releases that they release aren't good, apparently.
they're not
So
enough.
yeah, did you used to play WoW, Blue?
Yeah,
So you
actually,
were
I did
also a
used to.
defector.
No, I wouldn't say defector. The word I like to use, and you guys hear me say it all the time, is polygamorous.
Don't
I'm all over the
don't
place,
don't let your
but
wife hear that.
no, she knows exactly what that means.
Oh,
She's
okay, all
angry,
right.
actually. But yeah, no, I've definitely dabbled in both pools, and I've deemed Final Fantasy 14 more worth my time, to be honest. When it comes to MMO, it's just we don't need to go into my praises on that. But yeah,
Yeah, we all
so
know
the
you're in love
fact
with
that
it, but
the
what?
fact that this guy kind of came over and was reluctantly won over, I think, is testament to what all these critics have been saying all this time.
So I mean, does this sound like a nail in the coffin for WoW? Like,
Oh,
is
it's
it
definitely
maybe
a big blow.
end of its
Yeah, to people.
life nearing, possibly?
Um, with the recent expansion, I would say it did get some revitalization. However, I wouldn't say that WoW has a lot of time on the top charts, especially with the trajectory that Final Fantasy 14 is going, and how many new users are coming in every day, and how big it's growing, and the changes that they're making are definitely for the players. Almost everything that players are complain about or talk about, some of the big stuff, it's addressed almost right away in Final Fantasy 14, and that's something that you don't get in WoW. And people feel heard.
Shit. How about you, Jeff? Like, I know you're looking at MMOs, and the article actually makes mention of a couple of other competing MMOs, like Amazon's The New World coming soon. I know you were super excited about that.
Mhm.
Like, does all the fanfare around Final Fantasy 14, especially like flying in the face of WoW, which I believe you also played for some time, right?
Played very little while because at the time my laptop just couldn't handle it at the time. I think it was like less graphics. It was like on the least required graphics as possible. But I played some Final Fantasy 14 when it first came out. When it was it just Final Fantasy 14? Was it a Realm Reborn first or just
Well,
was that
the
after?
Realm
yeah,
Reborn
the realm, yeah, that was the re-release,
is the
right?
base.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Yeah, so
it was
I
broken
played it when
before
it
that.
like when yeah, I played it when it like first came out. I got
Okay.
to like level like 49 or level 50. It was like right around when you're doing the quest to get like your artifact gear and whatnot. I just
Hmm.
stopped playing it because it was just my buddy had stopped playing it, so I stopped playing it, and then kind of got back into it when Blue was playing. But what happens is it's so much content, and that's kind of with anything. There's so much content. You're like, well, where do I go? What do I do? What's going on here? What about this? What about that? So that's like one of the reasons why I didn't continue playing it. It was fun, yes, because obviously if you invest that much time, it has to be something you enjoyed in it. I did like the economy, how you can farm, um, or you can farm anything required to make anything. You can farm it. Wow, I feel like I think I read somewhere where they were saying if it wasn't for WoW, there would be no Final Fantasy 14.
That's probably
Um,
true, but
but
Yeah,
that's like saying
that's not an excuse
without
to
without
suck.
that's like saying without PUBG, there would be no Fortnite. At the end of the day, nobody cares about
yeah, which
which
one
one
came
came
first, right?
first, the chicken or the egg. They just know they're hungry, and that chicken looks delicious. So
That egg also looks
that's
delicious.
right. But I mean, so if this is much more appealing if it looks better. They took things that worked in WoW and translated them over to Final Fantasy 14 and just continuously improved upon that. And
And
that's kind of what you need to do is put something people like and kind of like you said, listen to them. What works, what doesn't work, what does this, what does that. So I'm
an-
definitely go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I was gonna say another testament to them listening to their folks is exactly what you were talking about, Jeff. It was a lot of content before when you were playing. And we talked about this on the podcast a couple
Hmm.
months ago. They boiled down the main story and streamlined it and made it all the relevant parts and helped the progression of the main story and then into the expansions that are amazing as well. So like again, that's another reason why this game is trumping WoW, and WoW. I think Lampy said it. It looks like it's stuck in the 2000s. Like,
Mm.
I think there's no graphical. There's been some tweaks, but it still looks like WoW from back when WoW was WoW. It's just what it is. But I don't think it's like a nail in the coffin. I think it's more like a thumbtack in there right now. I don't think it's a nail. You know what I'm saying? Because their base is just so wide that there's so many people playing that game. Not to say Final Fantasy 14 doesn't do that. I just mean like in order for us to say it's a nail in the coffin, you got to see where there's a significant drop in subscriptions. Where hey, they lost like 30%, 20% of the people subscribing to WoW is just went away. That's when we see, oh, there's a nail. They know there's something they need to do. Something needs to happen. Otherwise, I mean, but this game has been going on for forever, and they just expansion, expansion, expansion. There's gonna have to be some time where it's gonna, hey, we're gonna completely rework it, and that's where a service to games becomes good. But then it becomes, you know what? There actually needs to be a part two now, or a complete overhaul, a different name. Doesn't matter what you do with it, but it needs to be a complete overhaul from the ground up.
I thought they did actually do something like Blue. You said they condensed like a lot of the beginning part in Final Fantasy 14. I thought they did the same thing in WoW some time ago, and they did do
They
some sort of graphical overhaul
right.
where they kind of updated the older engine to like a newer one. But even after that, like
Newer.
it still
Yeah,
looks and feels dated, I guess. And the
Because
game is what,
that
like
was
15 years old at this point?
about the, yeah.
Oh, is it that young? Whoa.
probably
It
more,
might
to
be
be
older than
honest.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, Blizzard's style was that back in the day, very cartoony style, and to veer from that is kind of, I think that's losing their whole foundation on WoW, and that's possibly why you see more realistic models in things like Overwatch now, because they know they need to move forward. They can't keep doing that.
I don't know if I
Well,
would
I don't think
call
that. Yeah, I
Overwatch
don't know if that.
realistic.
Yeah, I don't know if
No,
that
it's more
cart.
realistic than
Well,
WoW.
I would
I
say
don't
it's
know. I don't
more
know if the cartoon.
polished.
Yeah,
Like
the
it's
cartoony look doesn't
yeah,
really
Overwatch definitely
mean
looks
much.
cartoony to me.
Yeah.
Not as cartoony as WoW though, or
Well, if you look
Warcraft.
at like PSO, like that anime looking style, I mean, it's like the most anime thing you'll ever see. I don't think really people care about the cartoony or the anime look. I mean, because obviously that is what interests them to begin with. That's why they went into the game because that's the first thing you see before you play anything is how it looks. And they saw that and it was like, oh yeah, I want to play that. And then now they spent 15 years playing it at least.
I feel
So
like the amount of detail that you can put into your character on Final Fantasy 14 um, is much more appealing, and not I'm not saying just for me, but I
Mhm.
think for MMO players in general, the more handle on your character, the more you can make it you, the more immersion you're going to get out of it. I think WoW has capped that and never moved past it.
then Sigma, you brought up the new world. I'm
Mhm.
interested to see
Mm,
what transpires with that because they did have some reworks after the beta. Some stuff they changed. Blue played the betas or the alpha as well.
yeah.
It wasn't terrible, but it definitely needed some work as far as customization, deeper immersion. Because it was kind of like a run here, talk to this person, do this quest. Hey, this is how you manage your town, stuff like that. Like I really didn't care about the story mostly. Like the lore just didn't grab me.
Mhm.
Even though like the trailer showed you it like that deer or something that came back to life or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like that trailer was like, oh, what's going on here? It looked like some ancient curse or something that was being passed down through the different generations or something. But like the story from the game I played just didn't give me any of that. But the combat was fun, the magic was cool. It had like was it like you could do like 20v20 battles in the PvP. Um, but some of these games have to learn to take stuff from other MMOs that work and translate them over. And that's not that's just smart. Like if it's working here, it should work here. Especially if you don't have any experience with doing an MMO before. That's the best way to tell. Either get some people who've done them on from another team, hire, steal some people away. Hey, come work on this MMO
Steal
with
some
us.
people. Wow, he's talking about
Hey,
poaching.
yeah, that's what you do. I mean, and that's it goes on. Hey, we'll give you. They're paying you this. Yeah, we'll give you that. Come over here.
Yeah, do
Even if
that
you want
for
to
us.
extend.
Yeah.
Yeah, even we'll just subcontract you. You can just advise us on just as an advisor's fee. Like just come on over for a little bit. Stuff like that. Like it's nothing wrong with taking parts. I mean, we've seen other companies do it, like Fortnite, especially. Like they took they got rid of their whole business model before. Like, oh, what this is what we're doing now, and from there, they just been like, sky's the limit.
Yeah, the rest is history. I mean, that's true. So, I mean, if Final Fantasy appears to be the front runner in this space, but like MMOs in general are I personally have found them to be very difficult to like kind of breach into because of the time investment, right? So there are other options like Elder Scrolls Online is still a thing. Um, that Star Wars MMO, is that still running or did that get shut down?
It's actually still running, and if you look up a lot of popular top lists, it's normally on the top 10 still.
Okay,
I
so
think
they're
it's
still pretty
mostly because
popular
of the
then.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Elder Scrolls Online is number 3 right now.
Damn.
Yeah.
Oh, so what's number one?
It was Final Fantasy
Final
14.
Final Fantasy 14. Oh, dang.
Mhm.
So WoW's already kind of lost its status. Like
Yeah,
that.
that's a generated list based on I forgot who did the list, but there's been a couple. Final Fantasy
Yeah.
14 has been number 1.
Top of
WoW
most
was number
lists.
2, and then Elder Scrolls Online was number 3, and then it starts to go down to the
Star
Star
Wars will be
Wars
there
and
around 5 and
yeah.
6. Yeah.
Okay, because like
Where's Ultima Online? That's 7.
That's
And then what's the other one? Not Star Citizen. What's the other?
oh, that's not even.
well,
Oh my
Eve.
gosh,
Eve Online.
Eve, yeah,
Eve.
Eve Online, yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one. So I mean, yeah, I guess there's enough players to go around for those differing experiences. Like, and I guess Final Fantasy 14 is different enough from WoW because like even this guy Asmongold says that he's gonna dabble, but he'll probably still play WoW. Like I can't
Yeah.
imagine juggling two different MMOs like that. But if that's all you play, then maybe that's the
It
go.
was
See,
interesting enough
it's
for
a
him.
Yeah, and it's a lot harder for somebody to go from being. I'm sure he's acquired a mass fortune in WoW and has all this heirloom gear and whatnot. I don't see somebody just going, I'm gonna start fresh here and just be this peasant in this world when I was a king over here. I'm just gonna leave. I'm leaving all of that behind. I want a new life. I want a new me. So I do think he'll be going back and forth.
One thing to kind of help with that actually, and he mentioned this when he was learning about the game on stream. You only need to make one character in Final Fantasy 14. Your one character can do everything. In WoW, you have to have multiple characters to cover everything. So it does make Final Fantasy 14 easier to play with other games too, and still try to complete everything.
That's good to know. Probably still won't ever pick it up, but that's just me.
Sure.
Has any of this compelled you, Jesse, to maybe consider an MMO in your future?
It all sounds really interesting, but
Girls Online.
it sounds interesting as MMOs do. I love the idea of a MMO. Like that an MMORPG is like that's everything I want. And then I try to play it and it's cooldown. Like I hit a button
Yeah,
and I
that
wait.
that kind of combat I cannot get down with. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the same.
Like the worlds are too big. Like I understand there might be 30,000 people, not really that many, but try to get all these people through a hallway. You have to make the hallway huge. But then you're walking through this hallway that has nothing happening in it for like way too long. Everything's so spread out. Actual individual things are so like your person is like this freaking big on this giant ass map. So like there's nothing really comes through as like a personal connection to me. It's all just kind of out there and distant. And then when you get close, it's an MMO. Like things gotta look kind of grungy so you can have that many people running on them. So even when you get that close, it loses a lot of the personality for me. And then the combat, the waiting, the thing I like about role playing games is role playing, and it's combat focused. There's so much about it and that's the trend. Every MMO I've tried, that's the focus.
Well,
And
which
that's
ones?
never what I want out of it.
Which ones have you tried actually?
What was it? The Secret World, WoW.
You tried that too? I played that. The Secret World. Yes, that was
terrible.
it
That's
wasn't horrible, but it definitely didn't get the work it needed to
yeah.
be competitive.
It had potential.
It did.
As-
Templars, Illuminati. There were a couple was Templars and another faction.
What was it? Shoot, I forget the other ones. There are a couple others I've tried. Just and then like friends who have tried to get me in them, I was like, just let me watch you play it for a minute and like see it. It's like no,
Oh,
this
Sigma,
you're hit. Oh yeah, you're muted. It's like I watch you hit the 3 key, thing happens. Oh, Guild Wars 2.
Oh,
That
okay.
was another one. So it's like the idea is I want it to work, but it has to be a completely different style of MMO compared to what actually comes out every time.
Um, Elder Scrolls Online to me was fun. I did like the lore, especially if you like Skyrim. It has a lot of side quests and is very story oriented. The combat is it's fun, but it's mostly about the story. Like they dwell so far into the Elder Scrolls mythos, like deep, 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 and all this takes place before Skyrim. So there's so much room for exploration. Like they go into Morrowind, they touch on Oblivion, they touch in Cyrodiil. Like they go all over the Elder Scrolls universe. Um, like that's why that game I think went from being like almost dead to like one of the like I said the top three MMOs on most lists. And they're putting out like new seasonal content. Same thing as Final Fantasy 14. Like every so often they're just constantly dropping new content and reworking stuff that's already out to make it more expressed for new players to come into. Because like I played Elder Scrolls Online. Like in the beginning, I got to like I beat like two different factions, and then once that was done, I was like, you know what? I stepped away for a while, and then I came back, and I'm like, you know, well, it's all this content. Where do I go? And it has stuff to kind of streamline that for you. Hey, this is what you could be doing, or this is what you should be doing. These are different things you can do. Um, Casey, are you back?
Yeah, you should be able to hear me now, right?
Yeah,
there you are.
we go.
All right. Yeah, I was gonna say because Jeff, you like convinced me to try Elder Scrolls Online like a while back, and I did like how that felt combat wise. Like it wasn't automatic in that sense. Like you had to do your moves. You still had cooldowns or whatever, but it was more like action game based. And honestly, it was better combat than the actual Elder Scrolls games, like
Oh
Skyrim,
yeah,
for
yeah,
example.
yeah.
That's
But
good to know.
yeah, but yeah, like just like Jesse was saying, like the detachment from like the world, because it does sort of feel like a big funnel to just get all the cattle through, right? So
Especially
like
that early part, because that's what that is like all the soul bound are coming back, and you see a bunch of other players who are just now starting a story too, and you see them coming back, and they all have to go this one
yeah,
way, and
exactly.
then and that's where like once that's like the beginning stuff, but like once that's done, like everything branches out. It starts to be different branches you can go based on the choices you make, kind of like Skyrim.
Like one of the reasons why Fantasy Star Online has like stuck with me for so long is because they kind of take the MMO stuff but then break it into a much smaller package. Like you and like your close friends form like a small group, and then you guys just go through like this kind of MMO like world. If they, I don't know, I haven't tried New Genesis
Genesis.
yet. But if they can make those worlds a little bigger, and like maybe those friend groups a little bigger as well, I don't know if they, is it still like 4 players to a party or something?
Now you can be in the same block, so you don't necessarily have to be in the same party, and you can see each other. So there's a block. There's a block.
It's
So
like an
there's
instant.
yeah, there's ships, and then there's like 17 blocks.
Mm-hmm.
So you can say yes, us four we're going to we're going to block one. And like, okay, we'll meet you over there on block one, and then you can all meet up. 32 of your friends can meet up on block one because the server that block holds 32 people.
That's kind of cool. Yeah. So yeah, stuff like that I think is my key in, because I have spent a ton of hours in PSO, but that's sort of like it's not exactly an MMO. Like it's close. I don't. What do you even call that? Like
I'd give it an MMO.
You would call it
It's
an
action
MMO? Yeah, and it's definitely action based, right? Like that is
Yeah.
all like hack and slashy attacks and whatnot. But any other lingering thoughts on this topic before we move on to our next one?
I would say that it's a shame you guys didn't have a chance to play a little bit further in these MMOs. It sounds like you guys have only really experienced like the beginning stages of these, and they get so much more complex and personalized afterwards. I do hope at one point, you know, if you feel differently, you give it another shot, because I feel like the attachment to these characters can be monumental once you spend the time. But you know, that's my final thought on that.
Can I ask a follow up on that?
Yeah.
Do we have time for that?
Yeah,
Okay.
go nuts.
What do you, I guess a two-part question. One, what do you feel like is a reasonable amount of time to invest in something before you realize that I need attachment or I'm walking away. Like, I mean, I've said it a few times somewhere on stream. I don't remember where I've said it, where it's like in a show you have 4 episodes max. If I'm not hooked, I'm out. In a book,
Right, right.
you've got 100 pages. In a movie,
Yeah.
I will quit at any time. I don't care. So like in a
So,
game,
Opening
the
credits.
milestone, right? What's the
Yeah.
milestone?
what's that? And then the second part, which you might be able to tie in with it, is when you are playing a game like that and you are noticing things that in other games you've invested a lot more time into, and you're like, I know what this seed means. I know it is going to bloom into this kind of gameplay, and I know I hate that gameplay. When is it okay to look at that, just your opinion, and be like,
Yeah.
I know this is what this is going to be, and I don't like it already. It's getting deeper is only going to get deeper in this well, and I hate this well.
Okay. All right. So as far as the milestone question, in most games, in most MMOs, I would say, once you get past your basic, once you get past your job acquisition, and then you start playing your role in parties, right? Your role, whether it's a support role, DPS role, tanking, whatever it is, I think that's a good point to say, okay, I really like playing this role. I really like playing this character, or I don't, because then you've kind of fully realized what that character is. Not fully realized, but you've gotten to the point. I know what the direction that this character is going, and the role that I play. And then, as far as the second part of it, and I think this is why I was hoping that you guys would play more. I don't know if you do know what it's going to branch into. And the reason why I say that is because you guys were talking a lot about automatic attacks, right? You press something, he runs up, he swings, you have to wait for a cooldown, right? In the beginning parts, that happens way more often than later on, because you have way more skills to use that go in between all those cooldowns. Now, I'm not just talking about Final Fantasy 14. I'm talking about the other MMOs that I played too. So that I have played. So I feel like the combat becomes much more action based because of how many skills you can use in between all those cooldowns. And you don't really get to that point unless you play long enough and hit that milestone that I'm talking about.
So, but it is still the basic gameplay of, even if you hit 3 for this ability, wait 2 seconds, hit 3 again, wait 2 seconds. But in later game, you can hit 3 and then 2 and then 1 and then 4 and then 2 and then 3 and then 1. But that's still the same basic. You are hitting a command, you are waiting for cooldown, and you are balancing all of these cooldowns.
Well, I mean, you could say the same with many action games, you know. You're swinging, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes you have a cooldown on a second heavy attack, versus the cooldown on, I don't know, whatever skill you're thinking about in these MMOs. I think it's just displayed more on the screen, and maybe that's what makes you feel like you're waiting longer. I don't know.
You might be right, because in my head it's like, by active I mean like I'm reacting to an enemy, right? Like I see the enemy is going to do a thing, so I do a thing in reaction to that, versus like I press a button to see a thing happen. And like I know that there's like a fine line there, because like either way you're pressing a button and then you're watching a thing happen on screen, but it's like whether it's instant or whether it's like kind of taking the reins from you and playing out kind of a lengthy animation or whatnot, that kind of makes the difference in terms of feel. Like when you feel how a game plays or whatnot, like, yeah, like it does make a big difference, but it is very similar. Like the way you described it, like you're kind of opening my eyes to how similar that actually is. But I do think they feel distinctly different.
I have a question for you both then. Like, do you prefer games where there's a cooldown, or where you have a magic gauge, where you have a certain amount of magic power? For Jesse and Sigma.
Oh, yeah, the one where
games would do one or the other. They'll usually do a cooldown, or you have a certain amount of magic power you can use.
And like I like refill it.
Like your mana bar.
Yeah, so like New Genesis is just like that. So you can do attacks, basic attacks that don't require any PP, and then there's like your skill attacks that require PP. So, and then there's
All
Elder Scrolls
adults.
Online where you can use your skills as much as you want, as long as you either have stamina-based abilities, as long as you have enough stamina, or MP, as long as they're magic-based abilities, as long as you have enough MP.
Like to
I
keep
think
to keep things moving, like to kind of make everything feel a little bit more active. I prefer the kind where it just what do you call it? It recharges over time rather than me having to either drink a thing or go back to the beginning to have everything reset. You know what I mean?
Because most
I
games will give you
feel
the
like
So
option
there's
of
cooldowns.
plenty of
getting.
games that include all of that you just said. You know,
That's
Yeah,
true.
most
you
games
can
are like
drink. Yeah.
yeah,
So I
like
don't
Elder
know.
Scrolls Online, you can drink a potion, or you can get it back through your basic attacks, or you can get it back just over time. Usually, they give you a combination of all of those things you can do. So, um, like I will say that with most games that I might not care for at first, or might not care for like over the top solo, playing with a friend sometimes helps to get you over that hump. Like playing an MMO with a friend, like yeah,
Yeah.
you can go in and meet people, but it's nothing like playing with, hey, this is my buddy. Like usually me and Sigma would go and we played the New World together. Jesse, you brought that up. We played that together in the beginning. Yeah,
Yep.
you played it.
New
Okay.
World?
Yeah. Yeah, you don't remember the New World where you could play with like magic and stuff? It was me and you. Yeah, you remember. We
No,
played DC Universe
no, DC
2.
Universe. Yes, we
Yeah.
absolutely played together. I'm pretty sure I never played New World.
You got
I
that dad brain.
no, I remember I downloaded it.
We played. I'm telling you.
I don't think I played that game. I'm
Yeah,
pretty
I
sure.
would've not- I
And if I
would've
did
not
play that
played-
game and I legit don't remember playing that game, that's very damning of that game.
That was almost like 12, 13 years ago though.
No, you can't be talking about the
That
New
was
World
what you
then.
talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New World is
New
the
World,
Amazon
oh.
game. So what
Oh
game
no,
are you
my
talking
bad.
about?
Not New World. What was it? Jesse, you brought it up. It was
The Secret.
Secret World. Yeah, Secret World.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, maybe I did try out Secret World for a little bit.
okay.
Yes, you did. Yes, but sometimes playing with somebody else kind of helps get you over that hump. To kind of help the enjoyment levels go to where they should be until you get to a point in the game where you start to enjoy it, even if you're playing solo.
I mean, it is massively multiplayer, so that does stand to reason that
Yeah.
if you have actual friends, it'd be a better game.
Kind
But,
of like party games, better with people.
Right.
It's understandable. To answer your question, I feel like if I had to choose one or the other of cooldown or bar, I would go with bar because that puts the emphasis on me. If I want to just burn a fire spell for 5 seconds and that's my whole bar,
Then that's your
So-
choice. Yeah.
then I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna light it up in someone's face, and then I have to do whatever it is to refill it or whatever. Whether it's basic attacks, gotta drink this potion, I gotta get in better positioning, whatever. I don't dislike either, and kind of what you were saying too, where it's like if you break it down, they can be really similar to like, okay, Dark Souls technically has a cooldown on your attack because you have to hit it and then swing.
Yeah, you're dealing with
Wait.
frame animations and stuff.
Right. But the difference being, or what makes the difference for me is the amount of agency I have in the situation. When I play an MMO and I hit thing happens, plays animation, and I can kind of move my character around back and forth, but like, what does it matter? If something's going to hit me, it's going to hit me. If I'm doing it in Chivalry 2, or if I'm doing it in Dark Souls, or I'm doing it in some other game, then it matters that I'm waiting for that cooldown, that animation, when I'm strafing left, when I am getting ready to parry, when I am judging what this other enemy or whatever environment thing is going to do, and I have the power to react to it.
Yeah,
Well
you
said.
can do that in these games.
Man, not any of the ones I've played. Even in Guild Wars 2, where it was like, if you're in this circle, like the attack's gonna hit you.
Oh yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
that's
yeah.
But
all
but
that
then-
is just get out of the way, and those things last for so long. Sometimes it's like it doesn't have that feel of agency. It's just it feels like telegraphing.
Yeah, that's
for the
kind of what I was
sake of
getting at. Like it's
pretending
it's
like
the
you have
feel,
agency.
like it's the presentation of that idea in the game, and it does not feel the same. Like I think we can all agree on that. Like
Okay.
it's a definite disconnect on some level from like a more visceral hack and slash type thing, which I definitely prefer. and I'm assuming
Right.
Jesse does too.
Now, Jesse, I have something that'll put it over the top for you.
All right,
Elder
this is gonna be our last MMO
Yeah, I know Sigma's
related
tired
thing
of
right now.
You
It's the
can play as
MMO hour, is it not? Is that...
Right, exactly. Might as well just change the name, change the title. You can play as a vampire in Elder Scrolls Online.
I mean, I do like that, but it didn't sell me on Blood Hunt, so there's no guarantee it's gonna sell me on Elder Scrolls.
I'll stream some of it this week if you check it out, and
Okay.
I'll kind of show you a couple things.
Okay.
All right
There
then.
you go.
So, on to our next topic. Like we mentioned earlier in the show, there's a company called Player One, WON, that is selling a sort of technology to game publishers where they, and this does seem to be aimed towards more free-to-play type titles, where they have you opt into watching like actual commercials, like full-length video commercials, and then you can be rewarded with like in-game items and whatnot for watching the commercials. This it feels like a violation, it seems, of a medium that has generally been like you immerse yourself in like, you know, this fantastical world and whatnot. You don't necessarily want to be pulled out by like a Dove soap ad like in the middle of what you're doing, but the way it sounds is like, okay, you're kind of opting in, right? And you do get something out of it if you care enough about the game. I'm wondering, like, do you guys think this is something that has a place, that could have a place, or is this just fundamentally completely wrong and should just never be involved in gaming whatsoever?
Okay.
Y'all can go.
Yeah, go jump right in.
If you
don't
have
want
a
it.
thought, I'll wait. Go for it.
Oh,
I think it's terrible. I think it's
yeah.
terrible.
I agree. I concur.
I just like you mentioned, this is gonna break a lot of the escapism that we generate from these games, and the fact that you can opt in and out, the fact it's still there. You know what I mean? And I think even that is still just a violation. There's been product placement in games before.
Oh yeah.
It's been done well. Some not so well, but I think this is another way to try and pump money from vulnerable people.
Okay, so you see this as predatory,
Yeah.
even with the promise of in-game rewards. Is that the predatory part?
No, I just think it's the predatory part is just being there. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Tapping
just
that market.
invading
Yeah.
that space.
Invading the space, yeah.
All right,
That's
Jeff, you
right.
said you also weren't like, this is bad. I hate this.
Well, yeah, because we've seen it in the past where they've subtly advertised something. Like you might see, like in a Division, I don't know, a box of Fruit Loops on the shelf in a store you went into to bunker down for a gunfight or something like that. You know, Mike,
Kellogg's.
right? It's like Kellogg's, hey, we're here. Or like certain games like Grand Theft Auto, they have like big variations of places like McDonald's and stuff like
Parodies.
that. Yeah, so it's like not those places. I feel like if certain companies want to advertise in games, I feel like that's how it should be done, is in the game so it doesn't break the
Make it
immersion.
relevant.
Yeah, and also like, are we making specific items just for these people who are gonna watch these commercials? Is it purely cosmetic? Like, what is it? Like, that's the only word that's okay with me, because then it becomes still a form of pay to win. Like, what are we doing? Like, are we offering skins? Like, to me, free to play games should only sell skins, weapon skins, character skins, different cosmetic stuff. Like, it can't be anything that's affects gameplay. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, well, this person has this because they watched 50 commercials. Well, what the hell? So, yeah. So, like, I'm not a fan of it, but also it depends. Like, if you can opt in, then and that person chooses to do that, then that's fine. I don't have to do it, then that's better. And if they're only getting like a purple skin, and then if I want that purple skin, I can then choose to do that same thing. Then that puts the option on me. So that becomes a trade-off. Yeah.
How about you, Jesse? How does this strike you?
I guess I two personal thoughts on it. So like, if I buy a thing, I don't want advertisements in it. Like if it's like, hey, you can get Hulu for this amount per month, but we're gonna show you ads. Like, no, I paid for it. Get out of here. I'm not. I'm not doing that ever. That's stupid. Um, if it's free, and Spaz brought this up, and you brought it up too, where it's like,
Yeah.
if it's free, yeah, okay. I mean, mobile games, I'm gonna download it for free, try it out, and be like, oh, okay, there's an ad, sure. And it's understandable; they got to make money somehow. I'm for creators making money, which is segue into the bigger problem, or the bigger thing about it, which is who's making the money off of these ads.
Mm.
Because if I watch an episode of Drawfee on YouTube, I don't care that there's two commercials before and there's a break commercial in between most of the things. It's Drawfee. Like they're the ones getting this money from the whatever small amount they get from these ads. I'm not a patron. I can't give them it directly. This is a way I can help them out. Cool. Don't care that I got to hit a skip ad in 5 seconds. If I'm doing this in this $60 game I just bought, it's not going to the visual artists, it's not going to the programmers, it's going to whatever giant ass corporation runs it, and it's not going to trickle down to them. So I don't want to give them my time with these ads because it's not going to anybody I care about.
I mean, that makes sense.
What about
No, I want to say I don't remember this being pitched for like a actual like a full price or even half priced
okay.
thing. It does seem to be capturing that very mobile market. But because there are so many free to play games on consoles now, like a ton of the favorite games that we play on a regular basis, some of the biggest games in the world right now are free to play. You pay nothing to play them, and you don't have to pay anything to continue playing them. It's like, okay, it's a way for like maybe a smaller version of that to subsidize the development cost if not enough of their players are actually paying for cosmetics and whatnot. They can watch commercials, which the advertiser would then pay for them to be able to do. And then to me, it does kind of sound like a win-win. It is kind of scummy, but at least it's in a way that if I don't want to deal with it, I don't have to deal with it. I think you do run into the problem where if the only way to get a thing, even if it's just cosmetic, was to watch ads, then like that does feel like it feels like it's encroaching and it's pushing against the actual game experience. But if it's an option, like if I can play a bunch of hours and still get the thing, or if I can spend real money because I don't care enough and I want to save time and get that same thing, or I can watch commercials because I want the thing, I don't have the money for it, and I don't mind, having my gameplay interrupted to get this thing I want. Like, I think that would probably be the best option. And while I do think, especially for the bigger companies, they don't necessarily need this new revenue. Like, they're making a crap ton of money already. Like, to add something like this for even more money that goes to them, like, I don't see the purpose. Like, just leave it as is. But they'll never do that. If they could see a way to make more money, then they'll do it. But for at least the smaller devs, I think something like this could subsidize their costs. But I 100% understand where you're coming from. I don't see it as purely evil, though. On a certain, because I'm the kind of person who, like Fight Night Round 3. That game had a ton of in-game advertising, but they did it so well. Like the boxing arena would have like the Burger King logo on the on the ring.
Right.
Yeah.
They would have like banners around the side. Like
That fits the theme.
yeah, it fit the theme because it was like you were watching an actual boxing match. Like you would see actual commercials for movies that were out that would play like in between the rounds, as if like, oh, you just went to commercial. Like they would show you like this new movie that's coming out, and then like the posters around the arena would be that movie. That immersed me in this boxing game because it fit so well. So like it was kind of a win-win in that, hey, now I'm aware of this thing the advertisers wanted me to be aware of, but it didn't take me out of the experience. It actually pulled me in further. So like,
what about games that well, we've seen it before where you buy a can of Monster and you get a code for an in-game piece of something or whatever it is. We've seen that with like Halo, Destiny's done it,
like the
a bunch of
XP
games.
boosters and
Yeah, stuff like that. Call of Duty's done it. Doritos, stuff like that. Like, it's almost the same as that because you can choose to buy that bag of chips because you want that code. My thing is if there are people who want this stuff no matter what, and they're gonna do whatever it takes to get it, whether that's buying two cases of Monster or watching these commercials. You always have those people who are gonna go to whatever extremes to do these things that they have to, and you're gonna have people who just don't care about it. Like, I really don't care about an XP boost. I'm not buying a case of Monster just for that. You know what I'm saying? If I'm buying a case of Monster and it just so happens to have that on there, then great. But I'm not gonna go and buy a couple cases just for that. You know what I'm saying? And people are like, you know what? You know how I got the max level so quick? I had a bunch of monsters and I put all those codes in, and this is what happened. So like things like that. So I feel like it's very similar. And you made a great point with like, Fortnite's not doing this. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is somebody who's probably struggling as far as a developer goes, and like this is how they offset some of their costs. So I think if it gives you a choice, then it kind of, to me, it like you said, it's a win-win.
Yeah, like ultimately, like video games are a business. Like they're artistic, but they are very much connected to businesses. And like if the creators can't make money, then they can't make the art.
Mhm.
So like if it helps them, I can't poo-poo this idea. Like as much as like I'm not a fan of like capitalism in general, I guess, and advertising being the backbone of that. But like these brands, these companies, like these are the ones who like lobby in Congress and all that stuff, right? Like they have tons and tons and tons of money. If they want to try to get an ad in front of somebody who's not gonna buy the thing that they want anyway, and so they're essentially wasting their money by throwing it at these devs who desperately need it, I'm fine with that. That's kind of how I come across it. Like I would probably never buy, what is it? I don't know. It's whatever the hell I just saw the last commercial for. I'll never get that thing, but I saw the commercial and they paid for that.
Legends.
That Teletubby
Raid
onesie-
Shadow Legends, yeah.
That Teletubby onesie you were looking at, Tinky Winky.
Sure.
Lala.
Let's
thought he was
go with that.
Oh, and it's gonna go through your Google history and Amazon searches, and then you're gonna get those targeted ads in game for those Teletubby onesies you were looking at.
He's gonna buy it because he just told me he buys everything that shows up on his Facebook page.
No, there was
be
a
extra
short stint
awkward.
where I was actually buying a lot of because Facebook was hitting the nails on the head. They were like, "Hey, you need some of this stuff, right?" I was like, "You know what? I kind of do." But they turned out to be very bad. So now, no more, no more Facebook advertisement for me. But any lingering thoughts on this whole commercialization of your games stuff?
Can I just make a quick note?
Yeah, go
About
ahead.
you were saying that all that advertising in the boxing game made you feel more embarrassed, like it was a real boxing match,
Right.
and how that just kind of shows how commercialized boxing is.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Like,
definitely.
That in order for it to feel like a real boxing match, it has to be a commercial.
Yo, you're absolutely right.
That's sad.
But that's what it is. Like, what does EA say? If it's in the game, it's in the game.
Yeah, Jake Paul.
Put Jake Paul in the next fight night.
Benzo.
All right, with that, we will move on to our final topic. And it's kind of a duo of news, but they're both related to Sony. As we all know, Microsoft has been buying up any and everything in the bid to try and get more devs to make first-party titles. Sony, who was best known for the quality of their first-party titles, has been doing the same. They very recently brought Insomniac in-house. So now Insomniac, who made all the Spider-Man games, belongs to Sony. But more recently, the makers of the game Returnal, which is a recent PS5 exclusive, Housemarque, has now been bought by Sony. So now they are officially a first-party studio. In addition to that, Sony has just bought a company called Nixxes, Nixxes, I believe it's spelled, who has previously ported games for Square Enix to PC. Like they ported the Avengers,
Tomb Raider.
the Tomb Raider, and something else that I cannot remember. But we all know Sony has been kind of dragging their feet, but have been putting a couple of their first-party exclusives on PC in the last couple of years. So this does speak to maybe them doing a lot more of that in the future. What does you guys take on Sony spending this money here? Like, is this good? Is this bad? Is it indicative of anything like in Sony's playbook here? What are your thoughts?
I think it's good for us as the gamer because we got Microsoft buying up all these studios. Now you have Sony buying up all these studios. Like, I feel like we're gonna go to a studios war. Like, what's happening? What's going on? Like, it's gonna be the battle for the North. Like, who's gonna win? We don't know, but we'll be there to watch the battle. So it can only be good for us because I think they're gonna get some quality games. This might kind of help with certain older games getting ported over. We don't know. But they've done good work. So they're like, you know what? Let's come on. Let's bring you. Let's be part of the family. You know, here's $1 billion. Go make that dream game you were thinking about making, and it might be the game that everybody winds up loving. We don't know, but it's good for us because we're gonna get games from companies that we maybe wouldn't have gotten before.
Like
and
they get more
also,
resources to
yeah, like
kind of stretch their
Bethesda.
development legs.
Yeah, I feel like Bethesda was in trouble before Microsoft kind of bought them. Like they were on some slippery slopes. So I think having that Microsoft money behind them, like whatever games are going to put out are going to be of a higher quality, which is good for us than it would have been before. You know what I'm saying? Like Elder Scrolls Online 6, I was hyped about it. Now I'm like over the roof about it. Like I'm ecstatic. Like it's gonna be amazing. Like especially ain't no money like Disney money, but Microsoft money is close. You know what I'm saying? So they're gonna put out something good. It's gonna be. It's not. We're not gonna have that Fallout 76 issues or No Man's Sky issues where our game is finally gonna get to where it was promised to be. I think when we put this out, there would have been time developed in it, money developed in it to it, their talent behind it, and let them do what they want. Let them do what they need to do, and that's when you get, works of art.
Okay.
I think this is another bullet in Sony's gun of quality over quantity. I think that they're really going for the studios the exclusivity, and just kind of like what Jeff was saying, that's going to give Xbox and the rest of the gaming world a run for their money and really good competition. So just like you said, doesn't matter who wins, we're going to be there for the battle, and we're going to get the spoils of war at the end of the day. So that's kind of how I feel about this. I'm not stressed about anything specific. I want to be more hyped about getting a PS5, and this might be a step in that direction. But yeah.
Good luck.
How about you, Jesse?
I mean, I'm always excited about things getting ported to PC, so I like that Nixus, whatever they were. Yeah. Because I want more of that. I think it would be cool to have. I like the openness of what we kind of have now and what it feels like with all these acquisitions of studios that they might be trying to get away from, which is that open ecosystem of games.
Mhm.
I also like it because I'm a PC player, and I don't want to have to buy another console unless it's on Switch because then I own that. Hey, okay, cool. But if they're doing it for, we want our first party games to come out first on PlayStation, and then we want to continue to make money on them a year or two later as we port them to other things. Cool. I am totally fine with that. If I need it day one, I know where to get it. If not, I can still get it because it's a game I want to play. If that's what they're going for, I am very into that idea.
Right, and it breaks the exclusivity thing in a way.
Yeah.
Like
Timed exclusives.
yeah, I know a lot of diehard PlayStation fans are kind of upset that some of these exclusives are getting ported to PC. But I mean, like it's money for the company that you love so much. So like I don't know why that's a bad thing.
It doesn't affect your experience with the game. Like I don't
Right.
see what the issue is. Yeah.
You get to play it first.
Yeah.
I want to bring up a couple things that are mentioned in the chat. Lampy says it could also be they got the company to do the reverse, port games to the PS4/PS5. I'm not sure how that would work unless that company. Well, I don't know. Yeah, because like whoever made, like if it's not already a PlayStation game, it probably wouldn't have been on PC in the first place. So whoever made that game would probably be in charge of actually making a port for
That's
PlayStation
true.
versus
Unless
giving
they
it to a
sublet it.
PlayStation
Yeah.
studio, right? Yeah. So I'm not sure that's the case. It does, and especially from the history, it supports it more that this is Sony trying to get an in-house studio to do this port work for them. Because I don't know who was doing the ports before. I don't know if they had the actual game studios, like the first-party studio, say, "Hey, make a PlayStation version of this, and maybe that's taking up time and resources for them to get their next thing out or DLC or whatnot. This makes a lot more sense where they have this company Nixxes whose sole purpose is, hey, this is the next Sony exclusive that's going to be on PC. This, you guys handle it, and then it frees up that original dev to do whatever else they're doing on the actual game, right?
Let's say they just said that Ghost of Tsushima is coming to PS5 and it's coming with extra content.
Right. Yeah, so like those devs are still working on that same game. And like if they had to make a PC port of the first one, it would probably slow that down.
They're like you, just still working.
Do you want Ghost of Tsushima? I can give it to you. Like,
I've wanted it for a while,
Come get it, and then drop off Last of Us 2 like we agreed upon 7 years ago.
7 years and 4 scores ago.
Tommy also brings up a good point. Says the more studios they get, the less creative freedom they will have. So we will get more corporate committee style AAA games.
Ooh.
What do you guys think about that? Because I do think that's interesting. Like, yeah, being as a smaller dev being pulled into like a bigger entity, they can elicit a lot more force on you in terms of what you do. Do we know if Sony has like a history of kind of forcing studios to do one thing or another?
Sure. I know Microsoft doesn't seem to, because they bought in Ninja Theory. They bought Ninja Theory did Setsuna the first one, right?
Senua's Sacrifice?
Yeah, they did the first one. So they bought them on, gave them more money to do the second one. Same thing with, it looks like Bethesda. They bought them on, but they're still letting them do the things that they were doing.
Yeah, they're kind of hands off.
Yeah, unless there's things behind the scenes we don't see. But I do strongly believe, and I said this before, where give these developers the money they need. If they have the talent and the backing they need, they're going to put out quality games.
That's the future I want, is what you just said. Where it's like, we bought this studio because we know they're good. So we're going to support them. And by supporting them, they'll create good stuff. A lot of times that's not how it goes, which is real unfortunate. But yeah, that's what I hope they do.
Yeah, that's definitely that's the ideal. That's definitely ideal. I think just because they get more money doesn't necessarily mean they don't have the guidelines and the corporate pressure. But again, I hope that is the case, that they get more money, they have more capability, and that's just what it is, and they're getting rewarded for it.
I do think Sony is in a very similar camp to Microsoft in that they don't dictate too much to the studios that they acquire or are already under their banner. For example, they paid Hideo Kojima probably whatever he wanted and they clearly did not see what that game was before it came out. So they really let him do whatever. And Horizon Zero Dawn was essentially Guerrilla Games was making the same thing over and over again, probably because Sony wanted them to. They're like, hey, make this Killzone thing work. And then they went like, you know what, do what you want. And it turned into Horizon Zero Dawn, right? So it's like maybe for Sony, like they give you a little bit of rope. Like they're like, hey, prove yourself, and then you get your shot, right? Like maybe they make you earn it a little bit, but they do still seem to allow devs with strong ideas kind of just do what they want to do. There was that story recently that the Days Gone devs were not allowed to make a sequel, though they wanted to. So there's a little bit of push. So Sony doesn't really let you do whatever, but
and that could be because the first one didn't do well.
Yeah, like it wasn't on the level of some of the other PlayStation exclusives that they've spent money advertising for. So like I can see why they would maybe be hesitant.
And they spent some money advertising Days Gone.
Oh man, did they?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm trying to check real quick if anyone else has points in the chat. I know Lampy was rebutting what I said about his comment. He said it doesn't necessarily mean it's a PC game. It could be PS2 or PS3 game being ported to PS4/PS5. Does PlayStation Now have a bunch of like PS2 and I know PS3 is like the sticking point. Like they can't get PS3 stuff to work properly via emulation or whatever. Like you need to build a PS3 for PS3 games to run inside of whatever other machine you do is what it seems like. But I know they have a back catalog of a lot of PS2 and maybe PS1 stuff on PlayStation Now right now. So again, yeah, I don't know. Like I don't really see them buying a whole company to handle stuff like that. Like they seem very interested in messing around in the PC space. And this company has done PC ports in the past. It stands to reason that's kind of why they would go after them. So that's just what makes the most sense to me. As I fully dash, there's always a possibility that Sony and Microsoft could start pulling the strings more in the future. Like if they get a new CEO that decides to change directions. That is very true. Yeah, if there's some change at the top. And
always terrifying, but yeah.
That is kind of a scare. But you would hope that if someone like Phil Spencer has to go, whoever comes after him would recognize the good work he's done, because Xbox was in a really bad place before he got put in charge. And like today, you got memes spreading across social media that actually are just huge Xbox Game Pass advertisements, like not even inadvertently. Like the service is so good, it's a meme that the gaming media likes it so much. Like people are saying, like, are you guys being paid to say good things about Xbox? Like, is Xbox paying you? Like, no, it's genuinely good, and they keep telling you that because it's their job to tell you about good stuff in games, and people are that skeptical because of how good the press is on it. So that's kind of hilarious, and you have Phil Spencer to thank for that. So I would hope someone who takes his place would take heed of that.
The whole Apple versus Apple thing, the one thing I was hoping to find out from that is how Microsoft, like what their ratio of benefit is from Game Pass. Like how they're making their money on Game Pass. Like $14, $15 a person, all these games, like how are they making this money? You know what I'm saying? Like
it's that Netflix model. Yeah, because Netflix does the same thing.
It's like Jesus with the 2 fish and the loaves. I don't know how he's stretching that $15 from my household, but he's making it happen.
Right.
But it's exactly like Netflix doesn't like to give out viewer numbers either, right? Like they kind of hide how many people are engaging with the thing, but they'll tell you how many people are subscribed to it, right? I can't remember Netflix's numbers, but I want to say Microsoft most recently was like something like 20 million Game Pass subscribers. Like I could be pulling that out of my butt, but I don't know. It's a big number, and like other companies are some of the biggest companies in the world right now, based on just having a very huge monthly subscriber base, and that's exactly what Game Pass is. So I can't imagine, and especially since they keep putting more stuff on it, right? It must be making them money. Like there's no way like this is kind of a loss leader.
And they're getting like some good games on there. It's not like, oh yeah, we just throw these little onesie games on these games nobody wants on there. And like just put Anthem on there. We'll put The Fallen on there. We'll put The Surge on there. Like we'll just give them those games. So there's good stuff.
Yeah, day one stuff. Yep.
Yeah.
And now we've devolved into another Game Pass ad. But any lingering thoughts on this Sony news or on Game Pass in general, if you just want to wax poetic about the best deal in games?
I will say, and this is gonna sound weird, but I'm becoming slightly less enchanted with Game Pass recently.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of the games that I've wanted to play that have dropped day one have been super buggy, and I do pay for this stuff, and it shouldn't be like that. These are games that I'm paying for. They shouldn't be glitching every 2 seconds, and I shouldn't be on the first day be like, well, it's the first day. No. If I buy a game, it should work on the first day. That's all I'm saying.
That is a good point, because yeah, Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance was a day one game that came out, and that game was kind of buggy, and also
Outriders.
Yeah, kind of mediocre. Outriders was also super buggy. Yeah, you're right.
There's a lot of day one games that have been pretty
Now, do you
crappy.
feel like they should have to go through a checks and balances with kind of Microsoft? Like, hey, we need to do some quality controls on your game.
You would assume they do that when they got announced for the platform, period, right? Like I think like this
we
kind
played Game Beast and it was having some issues, and that's not very like graphically demanding. Like the game,
and that's an older game too. That game's been out for a while, so like
that's why I'm not saying it's a bad service by any means. I'm just saying I've been a little bit disenchanted with it because of I can't play the games I want properly day one.
Also,
and that's the biggest thing.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, also not real crossplay on all those games.
Not all of them.
Yeah.
I think the ones that were advertised did it, but Gang Beasts, like we noticed on Friday night, was not crossplay. It's
They
just
need to
plain.
advertise that correctly. Like it's cross-play with Game Pass on PC and Game Pass on and Xbox. I
Mhm.
mean, like not well you can play on PlayStation and play over here. They need to me cross-play is cross-play with everyone. If you're gonna be specific consoles or whatever, you need to state that next to crossplay. PC crossplay with Xbox and PC only through the Xbox companion app or whatever it is. Because you know you get it on the Epic Store, it doesn't mean you can play with people on the Xbox.
Like I don't know why that's even a barrier. Like I don't know what those deals are behind the scenes that make it so that these two platforms can play together and these two can't. And then this other game is like, oh well, all the platforms can play together. Like, what is that roadblock? Like, I'm curious about
Yeah.
the reasoning. Like, is it a technical thing? Is it a business thing? Like, I honestly don't know, and it is frustrating. Lampy says Netflix also hemorrhages money. Casey, I mean, but they do spend like tens of millions on like comedians, like just straight up comedians to just do whatever they want on Netflix. So I don't know. I think they make it back. Like it hemorrhages money. Like and the same thing with Microsoft. They throw a ton of money out to just keep people engaged. Like it's like a wide breadth of content that you can choose from just to hold the biggest number of people to the because maybe I won't engage with half of what's on Game Pass, but a different demographic will. But we're both still paying monthly for what's there, right? And I think that is the Netflix model. That's what Microsoft is copying very well. He also responds to Blue, says, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, let's say Tommy brought up in the chat. He said the problem I have with Game Pass is that I rarely get to play, so I'd rather have a game for $40 and spend a year going through it than pay for a subscription. And that's an
fair.
issue that I have too. Is like I got games. You know, it's more of a time thing. Like
Yeah.
sometimes a new thing will come out. And it's like Game Pass, cool, but like I still gotta make the time to play that, and I still have other things I can play.
That's
It's
true.
kind of like the whole I'd rather have something and not need it than to need it and not have it. Like if you have the option and you can pay less to have the same game, just because you're never going to get to play it, it doesn't mean you shouldn't. You can't have it. Let's say you might have a family over. Hey, I want to play that. Can I play that on your Xbox or whatever it is? I don't know, but I'd rather have the option. If I want to play it one night, I might feel froggy. Let me try this out, as opposed to not have that ability. And still, like if I play something and don't love it, I didn't take a loss. I didn't lose any money. I can just delete the game and move on, as opposed to I have $40 down the drain. Now I'm like,
That's
Yeah.
where they get you.
Yeah,
'Cause
because
if
you
you
technically
don't-
do take a loss.
Right, because you're spending that $15 a month or whatever every month,
Less.
and if you're not getting your value out of it, you try one thing once, like okay, but then you don't play it pretty much at all next month. You still spent that $15 to do nothing with.
But that's the beauty of the breadth of content, right? Because you tried the one thing and didn't like it, but there's
Right.
99 other things you can try. Whereas you pay $40 for the one game. If it's bad, if the servers are down for a month because of hackers or some nonsense, like you're just SOL.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, and yeah, you're right. When you it's funny, you said 99 other things you can play, and I know you just threw out that number, but it's literally more than that,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
102. But like Outriders, like I would not have purchased that.
Yeah, 100%.
But I did
But I had fun
try
playing
it.
it.
Yeah, I did try it. I sunk a good amount of hours into it. But had it not been on Game Pass, I probably definitely wouldn't have gotten it.
Yeah, stuff like that. Like just knowing it was there, like The Outer Wilds, one of the best games I have ever played. Only
Yeah.
picked it up because I heard about it and it was available to me because of Game Pass. Just it was there.
I feel. Now we get another two. What is it? What's it called again? Say that name again.
Another two?
What
what?
was the new name for Idlewild 2?
I don't. You're talking about the
Idlewild.
Outcast movie? Like what's happening right now?
Like Outer World. Was it? Did they announce a second one? At,
Yes, they announced a sequel to The Outer Worlds, which is the Obsidian RPG. not the Outer Wilds, which is the indie game about navigating a solar system on a time loop. But I think we'll go ahead and close things up here. I know there are a couple people just hopped in the chat, like, "What's up, Honey Money? What's up, Fat Stacks to you?"
Yeah.
Hey.
Blue, where can people find you if you're looking for you on the internet?
If you're looking for me on the internet, just search that name that you see right above me. It's BLUB0NES. You find me on Twitch, you find me on Facebook, you find me on Instagram, and Twitter. Twitter and Twitch is probably where you're gonna see me the most. But I'm damn near everywhere.
Right.
Yeah, that's where you can find me.
Nice. Rexicon Jesse, where can folks find you if they're looking for your stuff on the internet?
You can go. I have some stuff on The Escapist, like behind schedule and 3-minute reviews. You can always check me out on Twitter, also above. And then my Twitch channel has my full list of things that I do over on there, which is twitch.tv/RexiconJesse, which has the schedule. And also have to figure out when people can play Smash for people who are bad at Smash, because I can do that now. And host that stream.
Just call it that.
Funny.
Smash for people who are bad at Smash.
For those who can't Smash.
By
Oh
Sigma.
my gosh.
As long as I'm playing Kazuya or Wario, yes.
Oh my goodness.
Jeff, how about you? Where can
Can't
people
forget
find
the
your
fart.
stuff?
Hey man, you can find me at Superman Jeff 12 across all social media. I'll be doing Monday Night Siege. Probably on Monday. Yeah, probably
Oh.
do that on Monday.
Good place for
Check it
that.
out.
Did he
I know
think about that?
weird day,
Time.
but I'm gonna do it on Monday. You know, you can also check some of my stuff out at nekamamushi.com. A bunch of stuff on there. Some streams. The Omniverse comic discussion. They'll be back on Thursday. We'll be talking about Loki episode 3 and 4. So definitely come
Yeah.
out and yeah.
Jeff, we need to do a Bad Batch recap, bro.
Yes,
Because
yes.
there's a lot that happened. You just let me
Um,
know. We got this.
Got
Right.
you.
Keep that on your radars, guys. You can find me at Sigma Gears 9. Join us on the Open Party channel this afternoon, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Super Smash Sunday. That's the Smash stream that Jesse is running away from.
Yeah, the Smash for people who are good at Smash.
We know it's
my
the,
skill level.
we know it's the 4th of July, but we don't care, so we're gonna be doing Smash there anyway. Other than that, yeah, check out the stuff I'm doing on The Escapist. I don't have a review dropping anytime soon over there, but we are doing the Loki podcast, or the Marvel podcast, and we have been discussing Loki as the episodes come out. So the most recent episode dropped a couple days ago, so look for that with me, Amy, and Darren. Other than that, be happy, be healthy, have fun. See you guys next time. Bye.
Yep, yep.
Bye.